Hello and welcome to Fireside MSP, your go-to podcast for all things tech in the managed services world. I'm Trevor Mansell, VP of XenTegra Managed Services.
And I'm Brian Clark, Chief Architect and Technology Officer at XenTegra.
Whether you're a tech guru, a business leader, or just curious about the world of managed services, there's a seat by the fire with your name on it.
So sit back, relax, and tune in while we spark up some tech talk. Welcome to Fireside MSP.
All right, well, what's going on, fellas? Brian, Charles, and
Not
I guess
much.
Charles is this is just we're having the extended conversation on endpoint management and specifically Guardian. Charles, do you want to introduce yourself? I think you were on the last podcast, but just a quick intro.
Yeah, my name's Charles Anderson. I've got about 15 years of experience in IT, working from Endpoint, servers, Intune, you name it. Been around the block a couple times.
So Charles is humble. Charles is an SME for endpoint management and security and Guardian, amongst other things. But yeah, super valuable asset, and that's why we brought him in here to have a conversation about what's new. Brian, I don't know. We talked a little bit about the endpoint management side of Guardian last time. I think we can kind of hit on that some, but I think just want to make sure that we cover off the security element of it and just why of Guardian.
Why of Guardian? That's a really great question. So being such an application and service-oriented partner, over time, as we've grown, and we started off doing Citrix managed services, that grew to data center managed services, which grew to endpoint managed services. All this stuff talks to each other. All of this stuff falls into this security umbrella. We've gotten a lot of trust from our customers to develop and deploy designs for them that work really well, have high performance, but also have very strict compliance requirements, right? Citrix is very big in healthcare, very big in finance, and we have customers that have very high demands for security in those areas. So we really had to figure out a solution that would give customers that level of XenTegra stability and performance while giving them the trust factor that they needed to run and operate these highly critical and sensitive areas of business. So we developed Guardian as a platform for us to leverage, very powerful secure vendors to use their products and their SOCs with our own SOC to combine and deliver a service to the end user that acts really as a check factor. So it's very popular these days to go out there and find one of the big boy SOCs, and you'll get a very intelligent, very wise security guy. And he'll just tell you pretty much to turn things off until something's fixed, which IT admins just can't do, right? So there's a lot of these security things that happen that are told by these wonderful security companies, and they know what they're talking about, but translating them to the real world really was kind of the area that was lacking for a lot of our customers. So Charles and I were looking for how to best incorporate, these strict security requirements and translate them into real world best practices for ITs to admin with, and developed the Guardian security solution. Charles, you've done tons and tons of these deployments now with Guardian. Can you give us an example of, the kind of scenarios that customers would run in with SOCs, how they would deploy the solution, and then how, the gaps that those current legacy solutions had?
Yeah, I mean, we can use the PrintNightmare thing as a perfect example. I mean, SOC picks it up, they come in and say, hey, you need to turn Print Explorer off for your whole company. Well, we know that's not going to work. So definitely need to translate that to an end user perspective of how we can mitigate that risk in the proper fashion. So using the Guardian program, we can quickly push out config changes and make that a secure fix to even patch it, to prevent end user disruption while they're still working. So it allows us to quickly mitigate risks while staying ahead of the curve, I guess you could say. Brian, I mean, and I know that you've been around the block too, so you know the world, I guess you could say, of IT. But we all know that there's day one vulnerabilities that come out, and with the Guardian program, we have the tools to mitigate those risks.
So
Yeah, I think
let me ask a question here, just to back up a little bit. Like, what are people using out there today? I mean, like, what are you seeing when you're talking to customers? Like, what are the common tools that are, that are out there that you see the most of right now?
Surprisingly,
and let me specifically say, like, on the endpoint management, I know we get into a lot of different potential tools, but just endpoint management, patching, asset management, that kind of thing, and then more on the EDR MDR side of the house. Like, what's everybody doing? I mean, it seems like there's quite a few vendors in that, when it comes to endpoint management. I'm just curious what you see the most of.
a lot of the people that I see out there are still running SECM or SECM now.
Yeah.
And we all know that is coming end of life quickly. So finding solutions that to fix those things out there are going to be key, and the Guardian program can definitely help with that.
Yeah.
real quick, Charles, on you said the magic Microsoft words. In addition to SECM, it's Defender a lot of the time too, right?
Yeah, you get Defender too.
And on that note, as a guy who has done tons of Microsoft deployments across a wide variety of solutions, it can be a very sturdy, great product. But Microsoft is notorious for having a less than efficient UI with kind of weird knobs in all kinds of places. We've done a lot with Guardian and the products that we've chosen to include in the Guardian suite to really kind of optimize existing investments into Microsoft stack. Can you kind of touch on how we can use Guardian and still leverage those existing solutions that they have, like Defender?
Yeah, I mean, so with the Guardian platform, we can layer on top of just the Defender as an AV service. We can layer on with the regular Windows Update patch rings that come out of Intune. We leverage all of those pieces to bring a cohesive environment for everybody. I want to talk about patch cycles, just for example. I mean, patch cycle comes out on Patch Tuesday every month. We can get those out to UAT the same day, same week, and by the end of the month, you're now up to date on a enterprise scale in a very simple fashion. End user perspective, it's a simple pop-up. You approve it, or you decline it, and it can happen again in an hour. We give control to the end users to allow them to make choices of when they want to do stuff. Make a choice, it's going to happen. We got to have some type of enforcement on the background, because there's a lot of people out there that may go out and Google how to turn off Windows updates. I, for a fact, am one of those people. I hate Windows updates, but you got to have a control platform, and the Guardian program can definitely do that. AV solutions, quickly making local firewall changes to an endpoint. A lot of people nowadays, they use basic Microsoft group policy to control that, or Defender to create that subset of rules that they want to apply. Well, reporting on that becomes a huge pain in the butt. I hate to say it. So with the Guardian platform, we can export a full list and tell you what policies those are actually being enforced from.
That's awesome. Trevor, you look like you have a burning question inside of you.
Yeah.
I think that's just my look. I just look like I have a question. No, that's great. So I think the struggles that you can probably say, like, when you talk about SECM, that's probably more of a upper mid-market enterprise, I guess, type tool, right? For the most
Mhm.
part. And Intune on the lower end, depending on what terms you're using. But um, there's so many different feature sets, different tools that you find out there, and they've got like agent sprawl on these devices, and just vendor sprawl in general. Like, hey, I've got 10, 15 vendors just for endpoint management. I mean, there's, especially when you get into larger customers, it gets worse and worse. But um, I think maybe share a little bit about how we kind of fix, like, that's part of what Guardian's about, is to, that consolidation element, and like how does that help customers, first of all? And what are they potentially losing something? I mean, because I would ask that if someone's saying, hey, I'm going to consolidate tools, what am I losing by doing that? So I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, we feel pretty confident, I think, in what we've done, right, as it relates to bringing this together to consolidate. But what's your opinion about the areas where we've had to maybe give up potentially some, I don't know, or maybe it's not the number one tool for that particular thing, but you now have one tool instead of 10 tools to deal with.
I mean,
I don't
agent
know.
sprawl is a real thing. I mean, a lot of companies will go out, they see a great product that'll cover a tenth of what they actually need to handle. Well, 2 months later, they go out and find another thing that covers another tenth and another tenth. Well, then maybe they did a POC and they deployed it. I mean, we've ran across this with quite a few customers where they find that they have agents that are still floating out there that are taking up system controls. They have the power to them, but they're not reporting back to a console. Maybe they have an application that has remote control over that endpoint. Let's just say take TeamViewer in there. Maybe somebody had TeamViewer for a couple years there. They deployed the agent and then they got rid of the management side of it, but they never got rid of the actual agent. We can report on that. We can come in and provide them ways to get those controls off of those. Simple. Remote PowerShell is a huge thing these days. Being able to securely use that using SSL through a web browser just to make life easier. I could train Brian tomorrow to go into an endpoint and be able to find an encrypted file on that endpoint. And then we all know that's dangerous to let Brian loose on an endpoint.
So what you're saying, I guess my takeaway there is we might, I mean, we think we've got a tool that meets the requirements for most customers, especially in the mid-market SMB space, right? But the reality is that, and it's not limited to that, but I think that's probably the target area. But I mean, you said it, like, I mean, I've lived it. I think we've all lived it. We deploy stuff, and it's so there's so many features, whether it's Office, Microsoft Word or whatever. You only use like a tenth at the most of what it can do. And so is the value, so getting the value of the consolidation, of just getting the most out of and simplifying it, so you're getting a whole lot more than you'd get, even though, yeah, it might be the number 2 player, it might be the number 3 player for I don't know, one component of endpoint management, but you've got it covered. Maybe it's the number 3 tool, but you're covered and you're actually using it, and you have XenTegra, making sure and ensuring and, providing your reports, and you're not having to train everybody on, on the team for all these different tools that you're not using, but 10% of, right? So
Yeah.
that's pretty.
I mean,
I never even thought. I hadn't really
maximizing-
thought about it like that, but it's kind of powerful.
maximizing the tools to their full potential is the key. We don't want to, I mean, even as XenTegra, we don't want to sell a half-baked product down the road. We want to use it to its fullest extent. Privilege escalation is a huge thing in the world right now, allowing end users to elevate their credential sets to be able to install a piece of software. For example, a lot of people use 7-zip in the world. Maybe that's not a default application that comes out of the box. Maybe a new user comes on board and they get just Office and a couple things. Well, maybe that user wants to use 7-zip, but we want to be able to manage it. We can allow the end user to have a true repository. They just open up an agent, click on it, it installs it, and now it becomes a managed app. So anytime that updates are pushed to it, it gets updated. The goal behind the Guardian platform is to make it simple and secure. I mean, that's the true fact of, and a cost effective. I mean, we all know money's the key to everything, but we want to stay cost effective to the end users.
Well, and we've designed it in such a way that you don't have to buy a tool and only use a tenth of it, right? We have packages that we've designed to really give you the tools that you need to accomplish the goal, right? And if as your goals increase, we can deliver that right package, right? From Pro to Pro Plus to Ultimate, we've got these tools spread across different both endpoint management and security management that we can deliver to you to really fill the gaps where you need us to fill them and not charge you for something that you're not going to need.
Yeah.
So Trevor,
All
I
right.
wanted to touch base on one more thing before we get going, and that was Charles, could you give us just a quick 30 seconds? We've talked about tool sprawl, we've talked about how we've got to cover these gaps, and we've got to, translate, years of endpoint sprawl and deliver a solution really quickly. Like, how quickly can I get Guardian up and going?
Depending on the size of the environment, but we'll just take 500 end users. Just say you're bringing on 500 endpoints. We're looking at about a 3-week turnaround to full implementation.
And I've got full reporting. I can tell you can tell me what's being patched, how my devices are secured, what compliance standards I'm adhering to.
Oh yeah, straight to the point.
That's awesome.
All right. So, this could not be an official podcast unless we said AI in it. So, all right. Question, Brian. Can you tell us a little bit about what the roadmap looks like for Guardian and how AI is going to be playing a big part in that?
Yeah, there is definitely some roadmap for Guardian to be AI powered. We are an API first company, right? So the idea of first being that let's get just the data in there. We want that data first to be secure and private, right? We don't want to share customer data with other customers or with the vendors, right? We want to just use it to service the customer themselves, right? So, you have 1,000 endpoints, we're going to give you all the information about your 1,000 endpoints. So security and privacy is number one. And number two is automation, right? So I've got tool sprawl. I'm always going to probably have tool sprawl. The most value that we see with AI right now is getting all those tools to talk together and automate with each other, right? I've got monitoring and alerting and over here, and I've got security alerting over here, and I need some kind of unified platform to bring all that data together and act on it. And that's really the main goal of our automation with Guardian is to deliver AI where I think it's best, right? Pattern recognition, the ability to act on that pattern, alert people based on multiple sources of input, and maybe down the line, right? The ability to act on that, run some basic scripts, quarantine files, just kind of get things secured from a security perspective.
Love it. All right. When can I see this, Brian?
So right now you have a
Yeah.
wonderful demo of Guardian as it is in its current state on the
Yeah.
website, done by Charles, our SME here. We can do a demo live for you. Just click that button down below that says, hey, I'm interested. Sign me up. Send me a webinar. We'll live demo it for you. And we can even do, pilots and POC in your environment, right? If you want to say, hey, let's put this in my environment. I want to see how well it patches and reports. Totally can do that as well.
Love it. All right, gentlemen. Well, hey, until next time, it was great catching up. And if anybody like Brian said, if you're interested in having some specific conversations around endpoint management and security, would love to get a meeting set up with you guys or a demo. Be awesome. So, all right, y'all have a good one.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.